Hello everyone, this is Bhargav. Hope you're all good and safe at your homes. Uh, we'll start in 5 minutes. People are joining. Just give us 5 minutes. We'll start at 3 5. Good afternoon again. So, as all of you are aware that today we're going to discuss about the old tax regime and the new tax regime, and what are the advantages and disadvantages, and what would be best for the employees based on the tax slabs and the salary ranges. First of all, I would like to thank everybody for wonderful response on the previous webinar on tracking policy. Uh, that's really encouraging. Thank you so much. So we'll start our presentation. Hope everybody is able to see my screen. So we're going to discuss about the old and new tax regime today. So as everybody is aware that the Union Budget 2020 has proposed the new tax regime to lower our taxes, and there's been much confusion and many questions going on the new tax regime because it seems a bit confusing. So we thought we would explain all our customers with the solution for this. So we'll start our presentation with the comparison between the old and new tax rates. So if you look at the table, you have the old one and the new tax rates here. So it was in the old tax table, it was 0 to 2.5, it's nil, and it's the same in the new tax as well. For 2.5 to 5 lakhs, it was 5%. It is still the same in the new tax regime as well. And here it was from 5 to 10 lakhs, it was flat 20%. But here there have been a breakup between 5.75, it's 10%, and 7.5 to 10, it's 15%. And then the next slab is 10 to 20, it was a flat rate of 30%, but here there's been a breakup again. So 10 to 12.5, it's 20%, 12.5 to 15 lakhs, it's 25%, and 15 lakhs to 20 lakhs, it's 30%. So hope everybody are clear on this. And yes, these new tax regime will definitely lower your taxes, but not for all employees and not for all salary ranges. Because the main point on the new tax regime is, if you want to choose the new tax regime, you have to give up your exemptions and deductions under the Income Tax Act of 1961. And yes, there are some 70 and above exemptions and deduction under this act which you have to opt out, and which means employees are allowed to choose the tax regime on their self, like they can choose old or new. But if they are choosing the old one, their tax slabs would be the same as 1920 financial year. But when they choose the new tax regime, they have to, I mean, they cannot exempt their taxes, they cannot use their taxes on the most famous and the most used tax exemptions like LTA, HRA, and Section 80. And in the Section 80, as you are aware, there are many sections under it, like ATC, ATCCC, ATCCD. So all these can, I mean, they have to give up all these exemptions. So that's the main point we have to understand in this new tax regime. And yes, employee can choose whatever the tax they want to choose, but we suggest all the HRs to guide employees or to suggest employees to go through the income tax calculator, which is suggested by the Income Tax India, so that they'll get the, I mean, the basic understanding, and they can choose it accordingly. So we'll just covered the basic concept of the difference between uh, old and new tax regime. So we'll just see how can we manage this on Keka now. So if you go to settings and the payroll, you have the sixth step as my finance settings, where you have an option called section 115 BAC opt-in. So you have an option to select whether you want to give an option for employees to opt in or opt out new tax regime. If you select this, all the employees will get an option like this, where it says income and tax liability is being computed as per old tax regime. To learn more and switch to new tax regime, click here. I'll just show you what happens when you click on that link. And then you have an option where you can cut off, I mean, you can give a cutoff date to choose this new tax regime. So by default, it would be the old tax regime. And if employee has to choose it, let's say you have set it at October 22nd, which means employee can choose whether he want to go with old or new tax regime before October 22nd, 2020, post which he cannot choose it. And I mean, keeping the challenges would faced by the management or the employer. So it is always suggestible to give employee a minimum period of some 6 months or 5 months, so that employee, I mean, most of the employees will not have an idea what, I mean, in which area they want to exempt or save their taxes, or in which area they want to invest their money or save their money, like the FDs or the LICs and all. So after some 4 months or 5 months, they'll get a clear idea of it. So we would suggest you to go with at least 4 to 5 months to give them an option to choose to go with old or new tax regime. And we have a similar option for new employees, where you can make, let's say you have made this as 90 days or some 50 days, which means employee can opt in or opt out of new tax regime within 15 days from their date of joining. This option would be only for the new joinees, and this would be for the entire organization. So hope we are clear on this. And as I said, once you select this option, there would be a option displayed in there, my finance, my pay, and my salary. And once they click on this, that would take them to a page where we have clearly explained what is a old tax regime and what is new tax regime, with the slabs and with the descriptions. It would display like this. So these are the slabs as per new tax regime. So employees can go through this, and then we have given the basic details which every employee should be aware of, and employees can go through this. And for the knowledge of employees, everybody is not completely aware of the tax slabs or the deductions or the exemptions which they are entitled to. So we have made all the exemptions which they have to give up to if they choose the new tax regime. So once they go through all this, they can choose whether to go with the old one, which is current with continue with current tax regime, or they can switch it to new tax regime. So if you click on continue with current tax regime, it would show the same screen which you have been seeing from past 1 year for 1920 tax slabs. And if you click on switch to new tax regime, so that would make some difference in the tax slabs. So this would be the same income tax computation a screen where you will get your total salary, which is 12 lakhs, and system will go through the new tax slabs here, and this would be the total taxable income, and that would be distributed into 12 months. And similarly, we'll take the same example and we'll see what happens when an employee consider this with a old tax regime. So I'm clicking on continue with current tax regime, and then I'm clicking on income tax. So this would be my salary structure and components, and then so I've went through my finance and my salary. I'm clicking on continue with current the old tax regime, switch to old tax regime. And then I'll be able to go through income tax, and this would be my salary details. And then I have gave the exemptions on tax saving allowances here. And it is always suggested to employers to have more tax saving allowances, so that that would be really helpful for all the employees. So tax saving allowances is nothing but a component which is part of your salary structure, can be tax exempted by submitting certain proofs. So let's say there is a component called communication allowance. So this would be part of your salary structure, where employees can exempt their taxes by using communication allowance by submitting proofs to the management regarding communication allowance. So it can be their phone bills, it can be their internet bills, it can be anything related to communication. So or the professional allowances. So these are tax saving allowances which are suggested to have in your salary structure, so that employees will get benefited out of it. And then it goes through all the exemptions, it goes through the standard deduction and everything, and then this taxable amount will go through the old tax slabs, and this would be your taxable amount, and then adding surcharges, that would be distributed into 12 months. So hope we are all clear on this. And then once this is done, so now we'll look into two salary structures. I have created two salary structures where one employee uh, one employee with just one tax allowance or zero tax allowance, and one employee with some three tax saving allowances. So we'll just see with the same salary 12 lakhs, so what would be employees tax year. Yeah. So this is an employee. If you look at the breakup, we have basic HRA, and these four are tax saving allowances. And there's one more employee whose salary is same 12 lakhs per annum, and there are tax saving allowances, but employee has not submitted any tax saving proofs or not declared any tax saving allowances. So you would get an option to declare amount for this tax saving allowances under manage tax, declaration, and tax saving allowances. So here employee has given the amounts, whereas here employee has not submitted anything. So as I told you, so this is income tax India's tax calculator. So where I would give my yearly income and my exemptions, let's say 3,50,000, and compare. So here, when I have more tax exemptions, the old tax regime is better because that shows the less tax for 12 lakhs annual income. Let's make this as 0. And now the new tax regime is lower, right? So there is like very simple funda here. So if your employees has something to declare, or if you have some tax saving allowances to declare, then you can go for the old tax regime, where you can have an option to declare all those and save your taxes out of it. But if you do not have anything to declare, if you do not have any plans to save your taxes or invest your money, and you do not have any proofs or an option to submit your declarations for any tax saving allowances, it is suggested to go for the new tax regime, so that if you do not have any taxes, you would be no deducting with 10% flat, or 15% flat, or 20, 25, 30% flat taxes. So this is about the basic concept of new and old tax regime. And there are certain things which we would like to suggest you people as best practices. So the first best practice would be, as I told you, it is always suggested to give employee a minimum period of some 3 months to 6 months to have employee think about his future plans and future investments or future declarations, and then he would be able to choose whether he want to go with the old tax regime or the new tax regime. And the next one would be, this is like giving them flexibility of choosing old and new tax regime. And please suggest your employees to predict and manage their investments and their declaration, so that they would be more benefited, and they would be acting accordingly. And we would like to suggest all HRs and employers to have tax saving allowances in your salary structure, so that that would be an option for employees to save their taxes by submitting proofs on it. So tax saving allowances can be, there are some famous the popular or most used tax saving allowances, like the communication or the professional allowances or the LTA. So you can use all this so that employees will get benefit out of it. And we would suggest you to go with the cutoff date, which I have mentioned in the settings. somewhere around 15 to 24th of your payroll, or you gonna process payroll somewhere around 27 or 28, it is suggested to go with at least some 20 second as the maximum date, so that employees can act accordingly, and that would help employees as well. And you can have you know as many tax benefit, I mean, you can have tax benefit plan also, so that even this helps employee to choose the components which is useful for them, either whether the food coupons or the petrol allowance, it can be anything. So it is suggested to go look into the flexibility benefit plan as well. So this would be the basic things about old and new tax regime. So we can uh, please pose if you have any queries. We'll discuss on the queries now. Hi, Ando. Yes, for now we do not have any PPT or PDF for employees, but yes, if that gonna help you people, we would definitely share something related to that. Give us some time, we will be sharing you something related to the old and new tax regime from the employee point of view. Hi, Amruta. Yes, employee can change the tax regime during the year, and even employer can share can change the old and new tax regime. So I would show that as well, so that you will get an idea. So I just explained you how employee can change old and new tax regime, and employer, which means HR people, payroll admins, can also change this through payroll and payroll admin. And then you have income tax regime of employees, where you will get employee details like this. And let's say you want to update this for Chetan, click on update, and you can update it from here, whether it is new or existing. And if you want to do this for bulk, we have an option called update IT regime in bulk, where you can download an Excel, like this, and you can just select it from here, whether they're gonna go with new or old tax regime from the drop down. And hi Balaji, thank you so much for that. We would like to get a PPT from you as well. That would definitely help us or save our time. We would add something if you want to add it to it, and we'll share it across. Thank you so much, Balaji. Hi Sandeep. Yes, so this has been not given in the earlier, but most of the customers has come up with this requirement where they want to block this access of choosing old or new tax regime for the new employees. So we have given this option. Yeah. Thank you so much, Somdata. Hi, Alam. Yes, we can make it for employees. So we would discuss this in, we would discuss this in person, Alam. Hi Neeraj, I have a query with regards to disclaimer on tax deduction. Few people might change frequently tax regime to understand, and their tax will also fluctuate. As employer, we need to be very clear that it's employee decision and increase or yes, that's actually a very key point where if employee keep on changing the old and new tax regime, that would, I mean, their taxes would definitely fluctuate, and that would create some confusion with the HR people. So it is, I mean, as I told you have to suggest your employees to plan their things and then change it once or twice, not more than that. Or if you think that would be a problem, so you can give them an option until some May or June, and then you can open it again to access somewhere in the September or October as per your convenience, Neeraj. Thank you so much for the point. Hi Kajal, what is communication allowance? It is not there in the list of tax saving allowances above. Yes, Kajal. So it is not there by default, but communication allowance is something which helps employee to spend their uh, salary on communication related stuff like their mobile bills or the internet bills, stuff like that. Yes, you can create a new communication allowance if you want to. Please write us back, so we would schedule a call, and I will definitely help you on that. Yes, Amrita. So employee cannot change the tax regime continuously. As I just told, that would create confusion for the HR people. So it is always suggested to change it some, twice or thrice, not more than that. Uh, Hi, Jamnadas. Do you mean that old tax regime is beneficial? If yes, then who can opt for new regime? So I did not say old tax regime is beneficial. So I said if employee has something to save their taxes, like their tax saving allowances or some declarations, so then I mean, it is suggested to go with the old tax regime so that they have certain declarations to declare, and they'll declare and save the taxes. Whereas if they do not have anything to declare, we would suggest you to go with the new tax regime, because if you do not have any declarations, that would cost you some 15% or 20% of your income, whereas in the new tax regime that would decrease to some 10 to 15%. Hi, Balmiki. Again, it's a good point. Hi, we can process both old and new. How can we justify to government who is new and who is old? So we would give you a report who is old and new, and since government told that it is completely up to employee, so you can have old and new in your policy. Hi Binduraj, can you show the example with lease salary structure which is under tax regime? Yes, we can show, but we need to figure out the tax components and everything. So please write us back. We would schedule a call personally with you people, and our team will guide you on this. Thank you, Vidraj. So if you have any queries, or if you want to go out, if you want to go for a session with us, please write us back. We'll schedule a call and we'll take you through the new and tax old and new tax regime uh, based on your components and your salary structure. And we have gave the PDF, I mean the documents for selecting right tax regime, or the flexible benefit plan, and a list of deductions allowed and all this. So we would request you to go through the handouts to download and go through all these documents. Hi Anulata, from which month onwards it's subject to get implemented? So it is implemented from 1st April 2020. So for the new financial year. Hi Vidya, we would like to have a look at your salary structure. So please write us on this, write us back on this. We'll definitely help you on this, Vidya. Hi Sachin. Yes, we should have a deadline after a period of time which employee cannot change the tax regime. So I just shown the settings. You have a deadline for it, the cutoff date. Let's say if you have set that as some September 2020, September, I mean 22nd September. So employees will have deadline until 22nd September, after which they cannot they'll not have an option to choose for the new or old tax regime. Hi Kiran, yes, it is. It is from 1st April 2020, the new tax regime. Hi Pavani, yes, I can show that way to uh, way to change the employee's choice. So you will have this under payroll and payroll admin. Under payroll admin, you have something called financial info and options. Under this, you will have income tax regime of employees. So you can change income tax uh, regime of employees as being a HR. From here, you can click on update and update it. I hope I have cleared your query, Pavani. Thank you. Hi Gayatri, please revise the setting for implementing new regime. We did not get it. Could you please write us back on this, Gayatri, with some more info so that we'll definitely help you on this. Can we fix number of attempts for employees to change? No, we cannot do that, Pooja. So uh, since that's a rule from government, it's completely based on employee. So we cannot fix the number of times they can change, but you can close it or open it, or you can have control on it by asking your employees to reach you, and then you go ahead and change it. If anyone wish to switch for another tax regime, then how do we do it after the date? Hi Jamnadas. Yes, if employee do not get an option after the cutoff date, they can always reach you people, HR people, and as a admin, you can go ahead and change it on behalf of an employee anytime. If any employee select old tax regime in Keka but can do file return in new tax regime in ITR, yes, Bipin, they can do. Thank you, Alam. Thank you so much. uh, Sorry everyone, we have we think we should have this discussion over mail or call, because this is bit sensitive and complicated. So write us back at keka.com. We would definitely help you on all your queries, and we would love to support you people. So please write us on cs at keka.com with all your queries. And if you want to go again with the same, with more detailed session, so we would love to do that. And yes, thank you so much. For I mean, for encouraging us on every webinar and making it successful with your participation, and hope these webinars are useful, and we would like to come up with more webinars and such things which would be useful. And if you have any preferences where you are facing, please write us back so that we can have a webinar on that as well, so that that would help all our HR people uh, who's using Keka. So thank you so much, everybody. So we will have our next webinar on leaves and letter templates, leave settings, configuration, and letter templates, and we would come up with the dates. And thank you so much. Hope the session is useful. Thank you.